What to say, really. 3 minutes till the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play.
Well, good hump day morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I really don't know what to say, like Al Pacino says in that clip. This offseason has been painful. This offseason has been hurting for us fans because it has just been the whole timeline. Let's see if we can go through the timeline. There's so many things that have happened. You may have forgotten about how bad it was. It was so bad because after having the joy of surprisingly getting the number 2 seed, the joy of seeing the Philadelphia Eagles literally crash and burn, beating the Commanders where we tailgated and had a ball and felt like we actually had some momentum going into the playoffs, being fooled and thinking that we were a good team, even though the warning signs were there that we had problems with the running game and problems with stopping the run every time we played really good teams that could run the football and stop the run. We had problems. But we ignored that. We fell into the trap. And the Green Bay Packers, the 7th seed, we overlooked because, everybody said, oh, the Cowboys, they got multiple games at home. Multiple games at home, and they're unstoppable at home. They haven't lost in 16 games. And I think that our players believed the hype. Because we had players that were actually advertising an after victory party for after the game. And we get bitch slapped by a 7th seed at home. Bitch slapped by a 7th seed at home. And then we have Tad Prescott saying, I'd like to see Dak Prescott get out of there. We had Micah Parsons' brother throwing shade on Dak and the Cowboys. We had CeeDee Lamb's mother saying she wished her son could go to the Texans and throwing Dak Prescott saying he's not it. Then we heard D-Law saying, well, we were tired. Did I get that? But lo and behold, we ended up having some hope where just like going into the playoffs, we thought that, hey, we're not that bad. We hear Jerry Jones say we're all in. We're not worried about the contracts and things like that. We're all in. And we all bit into it. We all believed it. We all thought that that was going to be the case. That we finally are going to do something. And here's where we are. Exactly 1 week into the NFL New Year. Tyron Smith signs with the Jets on a team-friendly $6.5 million contract that could be worth up to $20 million. Tony Pollard signs with the Titans. Dorrance Armstrong signs a $15 million contract with the Commanders, joining Tyler Biadasz, joining Dante Fowler, and Noah, and I can't pronounce his last name, all to the Commanders, joining a guy that I wish we still had in John Ridgeway. Neville Gallimore goes to the Dolphins, and Jonathan Hankins yesterday goes to the Seattle Seahawks. In return for all this, we bring back Jordan Lewis, and we sign Eric Kendricks, linebacker. The good news you can say, I guess, about this is this won't be the same Cowboys team that's lost the last 3 years in the playoffs. That this definitely will be a new look Dallas Cowboys. And I feel like the Cowboys need to make some big move. Just one. Toss us a bone to make us feel a little bit better, to give us just a little bit of hope. Just a little bit of hope. Because right now, we're talking, and I'm not saying that these are the best players in the NFL, but you think about what you are going to be able to do to try and replace him. Tyron Smith at $6.5 million, you're going to have to replace him. If you're looking outside of the building, you're not finding anybody for $6.5 million who can do what Tyron Smith does. You can draft a guy, but we also have to draft a running back. We also need a center. We also need defensive line help. You could use another playmaker at wide receiver. You got a lot. You got a hell of a lot. And you're picking later in the draft. I don't know how we get it done. I honestly don't. This is where I just wish I knew the real plan. You know, we heard all in. All in would be now, okay? You know, like I guess if you're in the battle, right? You know, you're in one of the like a space movie and stuff, okay? And you're going after the aliens, the bad guys, or whatever, the Klingons. And they're like, okay, Captain, let's fire. We're in range. We have a lock. Not yet. Okay, Commander, we're getting kind of close. We can fire now. Not yet. Commander, we're about to run into the mother humpers. We need to fire. Not yet. And you're just like, okay, here we go. And all of a sudden, fire. I'm hoping that that's what they're doing. That Jerry Jones is saying, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. The whites of their eyes. Fire! That he is trying to lull everybody to sleep, and he's got this grandiose plan of doing something. Because I don't know what it is. I want to pick up a clip from David Helsman. Shout out to David Helsman, who's with Fox Sports, on the feeling that we have right now as fans. There you go on that one. Was it a mistake to let go Tyron Smith? Now, I knew Dorrance Armstrong you're not going to bring back because it's just going to be too much money. And the reality is Dorrance Armstrong is kind of like homegrown talent. You know, when we signed Dante Fowler, a guy like that, most people weren't like, this guy, he's a bum. And now we're crying over these guys. The same guys that we've been saying get rid of. And people have said for years, get rid of Tyron Smith. And, he's averaged 7.5 games a season. So maybe the Cowboys are going to try to win as much as they can this year, but they're trying to change the culture. That here it is. We're trying to start over, bring in a new group of guys, and let's see what kind of attitude type of guys that they try and bring in. The type of people when you think about some of the players we used to have on the offensive line, the Gogans and the Eric Williams, those guys that literally were edgy, the Charles Haleys, the ones that a little cray-cray and in-your-face type. Maybe this is we've been too much kumbaya and so on, and it's time now to start over and go here and build. The problem, I think, is we have become an instant gratification society. You don't want to get up and go get your food. You call Uber Eats, and Uber Eats comes and delivers. You want information, it's all right here. You go on TikTok, you get your fix, boom. Oh, shit. Oh, here we there we go. There we go. Oh, got another one. We expect everything to happen immediately. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. You could say Andy Reid going to Kansas City took him time. He didn't immediately get to Kansas City and become the best team in football and known as the best coach. It took him time to get his quarterback and get his philosophy and everything else to go ahead and work. So maybe this is the Cowboys realizing we've been doing the same thing over and over again, and we realize we got to tear some of this stuff down and start over. And I don't know where people say tear it down and start over, where they're doing that and now they get condemned. I just want them to actually just say, what is it we're doing? Now, I still believe, and maybe I'm crazy. If it ends up happening, remember, I was on this kick before. I still feel like Stefan Diggs is a Dallas Cowboy opening week.
Stefan Diggs tweeted out, quote, ready for whatever. So, Graz, is it an overreaction if I said this Diggs tweet we're looking at right now means something?
Usually, yes. Historically, with Stefan Diggs, the answer to that question has been yes, it's an overreaction. He does this a lot. He expresses his frustration openly. I don't know what he's frustrated about or what he's ready for, what he's specifically talking about, but checking in with people close to this situation, I do not believe it means he wants out. I do not believe it means he's headed out. It would be very challenging for the Bills to move on from Stefan Diggs this offseason. Not impossible, but challenging financially. In fact, if they traded him or cut him at this point, the cap hit would actually be higher than it's going to be for him on the roster. And as of yesterday, his full $18.5 million salary for this year became fully guaranteed.
The interesting thing when you look at it, Himbo gave me some numbers here. You look at the last 13 games for the Buffalo Bills. Stefan Diggs averaged 5 catches, 49 yards, had just 4 explosive plays. That, to me, does not say number one guy. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know that the Bills made, change at the offensive coordinator.
Is he losing weight?
So now, now the new offensive coordinator has the opportunity to kind of put things together, take a deep breath after making that transition, maybe find a way to implement Stefan Diggs into the offense even better. But I've said this time and time again with Stefan Diggs. Stefan Diggs hasn't, whatever the relationship has been between him and the Bills, hasn't been right since that loss to the Cincinnati Bengals a couple years ago. Something has been going on within that organization. We saw, before training camp where,
mini camp last year.
Mini camp where, they had some issues that they had to resolve before Stefan Diggs reported in mini camp. So I know his salary is guaranteed, but whatever the issue is, it just won't go away.
Hawk, you played the position. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, there's two things. Either he wants more money or he's ready for a new change of scenery. It's as simple as that. To Woody's point, there's been a cold war between the Buffalo Bills and Diggs for quite a while now. And I actually don't think Diggs is going to be in a Buffalo uniform come next season. I don't know how it happens. I'll let Graziano put that plan together. But to your point around his production late in the season, the offense was no longer one that ran through Stefan Diggs. And it's not because of his ability. Go look at what Case Keenum looked like with Stefan Diggs. Go look at what Josh Allen looked like prior to Stefan Diggs coming there. And I think Stefan Diggs is an incredible receiver. He has a ton of talent. He is the number one guy. He's probably going to want to go to a place that still sees him that way, because in Brady's offense, it's just not as important or as critical to have Stefan Diggs as a guy who gets 10 to 15 targets per game.
I see you shaking your head, Greg.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about what D. Wood said about Brady was putting that together on the fly in the middle of a season after they fired Ken Dorsey. With an offseason to work on it, I think it's possible we see different stuff. It's not as if Joe Brady has zero history of helping design an offense with explosive plays, right? I mean, we have seen it in the past. So I think, but you know, you have to manage Stefan Diggs. The Bills are well aware of that.
Real quick, I know we got to get the break here, but listen, they had a missed field goal. They had a number of guys injured. They've always had some things that kind of knocked them out of the playoffs. Is the window closed when you talk about for the Bills?
I talked about it last year. I felt like that iteration of the Bills was that window was closed. But when you have Josh Allen, you're always going to have a shot. But with you saw the moves that they made, I feel like that team specifically, that window is closed.
It's closed. There you go. Feels like that window is closed. And so here's the thing. Okay? He's correct that if they were to cut him before June 1st, let me pull this up. Before June 1st, which they're not going to do, they would take a $49 million dead hit. $49 million dead hit. So you're not going to do that. If you trade him pre-June 1st, you take a $31 million dead hit. If you trade him post-June 1st, you take $8.8 million of dead money and save $19 million on this year's cap. And this is my thing. I've said this before. But here's what you do. For the Cowboys, you need every draft pick you have this year. We got a lot of holes to fill. But next year, it looks like you're going to get 2 more fifths, 2 5s, and 2 6s, along with the 7 that you have. So what after June 1st, you say to Buffalo, hey, we'll give you a second or a third or maybe a second and take him off your hands. That would be the kind of move that would bring people back and say, okay, we're doing something. But let's be clear here. The Cowboys need to do something right now because it has been as ugly, and trust me, it's always ugly in Cowboy land unless we're winning Super Bowls. This is as ugly as I've ever seen fans with the Cowboys. Trust me, the Cowboys need to make a move. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I know my man Walker Wade was over, going past, where Jerry Jones lives and all that. And I was like, please don't poop on the yard. I don't want to lock you up under the jail. But fans are mad. Fans are disgusted. Fans are losing their shit. And I'm one of them. Just tell me, if you're rebuilding, just say, listen, we have failed in the playoffs the last few years. We're going to start over. We're going to go ahead and wipe the slate clean with some of these players. We're going to hold on to some of the core guys. And we're going to start over, and it's going to take some time. It's a process. I'd be okay if you just said that. It's just that Jerry Jones saying we're all in. And I literally feel like, I am just a flag waving in the wind. One minute I say, okay, maybe there's a plan here, and have optimism. And then you get hit where, a guy who was dirt cheap like Hankins, who signed 1-year deals and was okay with it, moves on. And you sit here and you look at all the holes that we have to fill, and you see that the Cowboys literally only have $7.7 million in cap space and aren't willing to do anything to increase that, like getting Dak Prescott's contract done. that we're okay waiting even longer to get these deals done? Are we waiting for Justin Jefferson to get his deal so CeeDee Lamb can get an even bigger one? Are we waiting for, Pat Mahomes to get a new deal and Trevor Lawrence to get a new deal so that way Dak Prescott's contract will go up even more? I just don't understand, y'all. I really don't. Well, here on the Jobu Sports Report, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And there'll be more to talk about, of course, because we're the Cowboys. We're full of drama. And I don't think that if I were a YouTuber for any other channel, that I'd have this much to talk about. But boy, Jerry Jones is the gift that keeps on giving. Peace out.